in the next 15 minutes, you will see everything about partnership deed. Just like what you saw in the previous episode, partnership deed is just like a rule book for a partnership business. It will have rules like what to do in a business, what not to do in a business, and some basic terms and conditions that partners should follow. Usually, partners sit together and talk and decide what these rules are before writing an agreement.
First rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
And in case if you want a definition, then it goes on like this. Partnership deed is a written legal document that contains an agreement between two individuals who have the intention of doing business with each other and share profits and losses. Well, before we see what's inside this partnership deed, you need to understand one important concept. In accountancy, we consider that a business and its partners both are two separate things. Just like a father and his son. See, father created his son, that's a fact. But technically, both are two different people. Keeping this concept in mind, now let's see what's the information inside this partnership deed, or what they call as clauses of a partnership deed. There can be more than 20 clauses in a partnership deed, but from the exam point of view, we just need to understand 6 important clauses that might come for a theory question. Clause number 1, description of the partners, which means name, address, and description of each and every partner will be clearly written in the partnership deed. Clause number 2, interest on capital. Usually, if you invest cash in bank, obviously bank will pay you interest for that. Say if you invest 1 lakh and bank offers to pay you 5% interest per year, then you will get 1 lakh into 5%, which is 5,000 rupees interest every year. But instead of investing in a bank, partners might decide to invest in their own business itself, and that invested amount is called capital. So obviously the business has to pay interest to the partners for investing that amount, and that is why it's called interest on capital. So in a partnership deed, that interest percentage will be mentioned. It can be 3% or 6 or 10 or whatever percent that partners decide. Moving on to clause number 3, interest on drawings. Usually, if you take a loan from bank, then you have to pay interest to the bank till you pay back that loan amount. But instead of withdrawing from a bank, partners might decide to withdraw money from the profits of their own business so that they can use it for their personal expenses. And in accountancy, the cash that they took is called drawings, and partners have to pay interest to the business for that amount. That's why it's called interest on drawings. For example, let's assume Shah Rukh withdrew 1 lakh rupees from the business, and the interest on drawings is fixed at 5% per year. Since 1 lakh into 5% is 5,000 rupees, Shah Rukh has to pay this amount every year till he pays back that 1 lakh rupees. Now jumping on to clause number 4, remuneration to partners. Assuming that partners are working for the business, and when one person works for some other person, obviously he can ask for a salary. Just like that, partners can take a salary or a commission for their work in the business. And in a partnership deed, each partner's salary amount will be clearly mentioned, as Shah Rukh would get a salary of 10,000 per year, whereas Salman would get a salary of 10,000 per month. It depends on what salary each partner wants. Next, we have clause number 5, profit sharing ratio. Obviously, when they do business, they will either get a profit or loss. For example, let's assume that this business made a profit of 3 lakhs, and as per the agreement, the profit sharing ratio of Shah Rukh, Salman and Amir is 1:1:1. Now let's find out how much profit each partner will get. For that, add all the ratios where 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. So Shahrukh will always get 1 share out of total 3 shares. Salman will also get 1 out of 3 and Amir also the same 1 out of 3. Coming to our case, multiply the 3 lakhs profit with Shahrukh's share of 1 by 3, which equals 1 lakh rupees. Meaning that out of 3 lakhs profit, Shahrukh alone will get 1 lakh rupees. Since Salman and Amir also have the same 1 by 3 ratio, each of them will be getting 1 lakh rupees as their profit share. That's it. Now let's see one more situation where profit is the same 3 lakhs, but this time their profit sharing ratio is 2:1:1. It's pretty simple. Add all the ratios where 2 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. So Shahrukh will always get 2 shares out of total 4 shares. But Salman will get only 1 out of 4 and Amir will also get 1 out of 4 because the ratio was 2:1:1. Coming to our case, multiply the 3 lakhs profit with Shahrukh's share of 2 by 4, which equals 1,50,000 rupees. Now to find Salman's profit share, multiply those 3 lakhs into 1 by 4 and he will be getting 75,000 rupees. And finally, to find Amir's profit share, multiply those 3 lakhs into 1 by 4 again, you will get the same 75,000 rupees. Just like that, partners can decide what's the ratio between them. It can be 1:1:1 or 3:2:1 or 5:3:2 or any random ratio for that matter. Finally, moving on to clause number 6, interest on loan. We already know that when a partner invests money in the business, it is called capital. But sometimes a partner will give money to the business not as an investment but in the form of a loan. Okay, first let me explain the difference between loan and capital so that you understand it better. When a partner gives money to the business as a capital, he's okay even if the business fails and he loses his entire invested money. Like, he's ready to accept the risk.
Steve, I'm willing to take the risk. I think we should start with around 90 grand. Okay.
But in case, if he gives money to the business as a loan, then he compulsorily needs that money back.
Give me my money back. Do you hear me? I want my money back.
Even if the business fails, other partners should somehow repay that money to him. No excuses. And usually, when a partner gives capital to the business, he will get interest on capital. Just like that, when a partner gives loan to the business, he will get interest on loan. So in a partnership deed, that interest percentage will be mentioned. It can be 3% or 6 or 10 or whatever percent that partners decide. That's it. We are done with all the 6 clauses inside a partnership deed. But is this partnership deed compulsory? Nope, it is not. All these percentages and terms and conditions can be fixed orally also. It is not necessary to write an agreement for all this. But if you have a written agreement, it is much better because you have a proof and nobody can change the rules later. But remember, sometimes partners will start the business without any terms and conditions. No written agreement, no oral agreement, absolutely nothing. Therefore, let's see what happens in this absence of a partnership deed. If a partnership business does not have a partnership deed or any sort of agreement, then partners has to follow the provisions of the Indian Partnership Act 1932. Well, it is also a kind of rule book, but the only difference is that these rules are made by the government. And according to these rules, the firm need not pay interest on capital to any partner, need not pay salary to any partner, need not pay commission to any partner, and in case if partners have withdrawn money from the business, then partners need not pay any interest on drawings to the business. Nothing is required. But the business firm has to pay just one thing, and that is interest on partner's loan. It is compulsory to pay 6% interest on the loan amount that a partner has given to the business.
Oh, this is high. What a six. What a six. Way down the ground. It's on the roof. It's bouncing around on the roof.
If you see, there is no specific reason behind the 6%. It's just a rule. And one more important thing. Usually, profit sharing ratio will be mentioned in a partnership deed as 3:2:1 or 2:2:1. But when there is no partnership deed, partners are supposed to share the profits and losses equally. Say if there are two partners and they don't have a partnership deed, then they will have to share the profits and losses in the ratio of 1:1. And if there are three partners, they will share their profits and losses in the ratio of 1:1:1. And if there are four, then it will be 1:1:1:1, so on and so forth. And you will understand more about these ratios when we start practicing sums. So to summarize, when there is no partnership deed, the only thing that the firm needs to pay is 6% interest on partner's loan, and partners are supposed to share the profits and losses equally. That's it. We are done. Now let's quickly go through some previous year questions before we wind up. Question number 1. In the absence of a partnership deed, interest on capital is option A, allowed at 6% per annum, option B, allowed at 10% per annum, option C, allowed at borrowing rate, and option D, it is not allowed. For your kind information, the phrase per annum means per year, 6% per year, 10% per year, like that. And the answer for this question is option D, interest on capital is not allowed. Because when there is no partnership deed, the firm need not pay interest on capital to any partner, need not pay salary to any partner, need not pay commission to any partner. Nothing is required. Moving on to question number 2. In the absence of a partnership deed, profit of a firm is divided among the partners in what ratio? Option A, in the ratio of capital. Option B, equally. Option C, in the ratio of time devoted for the firm's business. And option D, according to the managerial abilities of the partners. And the answer for this question is option B, profit is shared equally. Moving on to question number 3. Trump, Kim and Putin are partners in a business and they have not entered into a partnership agreement. Kim gave a loan of 1 lakh rupees to the business and he demands that interest on his loan be 10% per annum. But Trump does not accept this. Is Trump correct in doing so? Give your reasons. First of all, there is no partnership agreement in this business, and we know that if there is no partnership deed or agreement, then interest on partner's loan is always 6% per annum. So Trump is correct in doing so, but Kim will get 6% interest on loan instead of 10%. Therefore, if you calculate 6% on his 1 lakh, Kim's interest on loan turns out to be 6,000 rupees for this year. And finally, we have question number 4. Define partnership deed and mention any of its 6 clauses. Well, the answer for this question is a bit descriptive. To begin with, you are supposed to write the definition of a partnership deed, which we saw at the beginning of this video. And below that, write all the 6 clauses that we saw a couple of minutes back, starting with description of the partners, which includes name, description and address of each and every partner. Then we have interest on capital, where rate of interest, if allowed on capital, will be mentioned. Then we have interest on drawings, where rate of interest, if to be charged on drawings, will be mentioned. Next we have remuneration to partners, which includes amount of salary, commission, etc. if it is agreed to be paid. And speaking about profit sharing ratio, it is the ratio in which profits or losses are to be shared by the partners. And finally, we have interest on partner's loan, where rate of interest on partner's loan is clearly mentioned as 7 or 8 or 10%. So that's all for the day. There are notes in the description. Please do check it out. In the next episode, let's see an introduction to sums from this Fundamentals of a Partnership chapter.